Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, PSVG Podcast Network proudly presents to you the podcast champions of the world! Me, and the Loborican, and the man with all the bad bits himself. Welcome to this week's PSVG, the flagship show of the PSVG Podcast Network, and a proud member of the Make Us Better community. Speaking of which, we should really take a quick time out and thank all those amazing supporters we have out there, including, but not limited to, our platinum executive producer, Mr. Corey Hicks over at twitch.tv/chicks_18. It's not what it sounds like. It's okay to go there, kids. Mr. Mark Moody over there with his amazing Out of Lives podcast on youtube.com/outoflives. Our gold executive producers, Mike BC and Panache Malloy. Thank you, thank you. And then, of course, all of our executive producers, Tony Hutchinson, Donnie Reese, Stephen Iafredi, Joey Splats, Carol Underwood, Dante Bellini Jr., Jared Gautier, Dude427. Then there's me. Then there's Josh Bourboni, or Bloodborne Boney if you prefer, Tammy Ryan, Robert Miller, Tim Ulf, Martini Jean, David Ray, and Jesse Armstrong. And hey, thank you to all of you listening, and you can help support all of us and learn more at patreon.com/makeusbetter. Thank you so much to everyone who helped contribute to the cause between PSVG, the Capri Collection, as I'm calling it now, his library of podcasts, Bad Bit Games, Warp Whistle Podcast, the Nintendo Nostalgia. We say thank you to everyone who listens and supports us. We are humbled by your support, and frankly, we couldn't do it without you. So, now I can take a quick breath. Q! The Loborican is back. Sir, how are we doing?
Doing well, man. The humidity in the DC area is awful. And yeah, man, it's just every time you step out there, you better be wearing like nothing because you're going to sweat through it. But otherwise, going well, man. Going well. Just enjoying some games, getting ready for a fall season of new titles, and just getting excited for what's out there, man. Just kind of taking it easy.
For sure. I will say, though, I do not advise going out in DC wearing nothing because I'm pretty sure there's laws and stuff, and you have a lot of
are there laws? I think we're in a post-law paradigm shift.
That's true. It almost does seem like that sometimes.
But
so
I feel like that's another podcast that we can brainstorm later.
Yeah, definitely. PSVG After Dark, PSVG. Exclusively to our Patreon producers. No, but speaking
PSVG,
of hot,
afterthought.
Yes, exactly. Ooh. I like that. Speaking of hot, Mr. Bad Bit, Joseph. How we doing, man?
I'm pretty attractive. I give myself about a 7. I'm passable. I'm doing okay, dude. I'm sorry if you guys heard that. There was like 18 motorcycles.
I did hear that. I was like, what is going on?
Fast and the Furious out there, and they're just like, we want to be as obnoxious as possible because it's a soup outside. It's awful. It's hot. Let's just be as loud as we can. Let's do it. So I'm doing all right. You know, just chilling. We're trying to chill because it's too hot.
Yeah, all three of us are on the East Coast.
But can I tell you something, Kev?
East Coast,
absolutely.
West Coast.
Are you free sometime where I could just like record what you just said? Think of the beautiful people on Patreon because you do have 18 million times better than me. I don't know how to pronounce names. See, because when I read, I'm very literal, a very concrete thought type of person. So I see the name and it has more than 2 syllables, I'm out.
I will say, so most of the people I know, so that makes it easy for some of those names. And then the ones I'm not super familiar with yet, I do type them out phonetically. So I have it written just like it's pronounced. So I don't worry about it. Because in my head, I'm like, they don't know that I'm spelling their name wrong. I'm just spelling it as I need to say it.
Yeah, that's why I just did. Because Sean yelled at me. Sean loves to yell. Because first time, it was when I thanked Corey Hicks, twitch.tv/Corey, /chicks_18. And I said, it's not what you think equally as amazing, though. And he's just like, don't do that. Please don't do that. And what do? I just don't listen.
It's okay. It makes it much more entertaining. I mean, you have to we're reading a list of people that support us, so you got to do something to spice it up a little bit, right? It's not just you're not gonna read a phone book because essentially that's what you're doing if you're not, right? You're just reading a list of names.
That's why I'm like, Josh, it sounds close enough to Bloodborne. You know, Robbie Bobby Miller himself. Like, there are people that you got to give that little oomph to, or else, you're just like, here's a list of names. You know, it gets boring. You gotta spice it up. Spice of life, man.
For sure. For sure. So, yeah, we're all on the East Coast. It is super hot. So, forgive us if you hear any fans. Mine is as far away from the room as I can put it, but still have a power source. So, I'm getting some relief, I guess you could say. I'm sitting here sipping on my homemade cold brew coffee. So, you know, trying to stay chill. But, guys, let's do what we're here to do, and that's talk about video games. So, let's start off talking about what we've been playing. Q, why don't you go first? But I will note you didn't do your trademark entry, which I think the fans demanded. I think the fans demanded.
You want to be entertained?
I want to see it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty loud. I'll say this. I've been told that it's pretty loud, so you just kind of watch out for that. Because tonight the Wolves come out, and when the Wolves come out, the Puerto Ricans come out, and when those two groups hang out, the LOBORICAN comes out.
I can do that. I'm Puerto Rican, so I was allowed.
Oh,
because you're allowed.
You're Puerto Rican too?
I am. I'm Puerto Rican.
What,
dude?
Yeah. Man, forget video games. Let's talk about Puerto Rican stuff, man.
All right.
I'm not
my
Puerto Rican, though.
Spanish rice.
Podcast hijack. You know.
That's all I know about Puerto Rico is my grandma's rice.
Hey, man, that's all you need.
That's true.
Food is all you need, man, to be Puerto Rican. You gotta like the right food.
Yep. I'm sorry, we got some white guy in here. He's gonna talk about beef stroganoff. Let's talk about games. What you've been playing?
Games, I guess. I just got done streaming like 45 minutes of Master Chief Collection.
Ooh.
After watching Kevin play some last night, Halo 1. Well, he couldn't find that right ramp to access the.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that shortly. Yeah.
I was chatting on a 30-second delay on Twitch, trying to get him. It's like, no, look to the right, scan the right wall.
And by the time I get the message, I'm somewhere else, and I'm like looking to the right, like there's nothing over there. What are you talking about?
Oh, that was funny, but I'm glad you found it. I was actually streaming some matchmaking because that was for me. That was the biggest downer to the MCC. When it came out, it was just the matchmaking was broken, and it was just really heartbreaking too. I wasn't even angry. I was just heartbroken about that because it just sucks. You hate seeing so much potential just wash down the drain. But I did 4 or 5 matches just now before the podcast, and all of them match made in less than 30 seconds, which is like light speed ahead of Rainbow Six Siege or Overwatch. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know if that's because there's so many people on it right now that it's just killing it, or I don't know. But I hope that this resurgence and this patch really kind of brings by that community, because it can be a lot of fun. You know, there's a lot of potential there behind the Master Chief Collection. Outside of that, I finally finished Assassin's Creed Origins. I literally looked up how many hours I have logged through that game. It's like 70 hours, and I decided to just. No, I was getting tired. I just went straight for the main storyline, the main missions. And I was like, I cannot stop playing this game until I actually beat it. So I beat it, I completed the main storyline, and then I put it away. I uninstalled it. I'm like, I can't put 10 more hours into this. It's just too much. I think I still have like a third of the map left undiscovered. So there's just so much in that game. There's just so much. And obviously this, people know I'm a Rainbow Six Siege ranked player. I take a lot of pride in my rank. I was for like 2 weeks top 1% in the rankings, but I had a rough night, and it's like
dropped to 2%.
Right.
Anyway, so it's been that. Actually today I made when I was having like a slow moment at work, I made a list of the games that I'm excited to play in the next few months. So sometimes I just gotta write a list of things, just to get it out of your head.
Yeah, just got and not even that, just plan. It's an attack plan.
Yes. It's like let me get this out of my head so I can focus on other stuff, And I was like, all right, just made a list. It's like, cool, I'm excited for these things. Let's move on. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm hoping to do some more Master Chief. Hopefully, maybe Donnie will be bold enough to join me in the battlefield.
Donnie's all talk. He's all talk.
Well,
right now he's all cough because
he's all wheezy. He's all wheezy. I did ask him because he took a nap, and I said, "Hey, last minute, we haven't started yet, and you want to jump in?" He's like, nah. He's like, if I breathe, he's like, I just start a coughing fit. That would be terrible. I'm like, yeah, don't come then. That's fine. So I'll go next because you're talking about Halo. So yes, I did start the Halo Master Chief Collection. I've been streaming it over on twitch.tv/PSVG. I decided I'm abandoning trying to do my own channel because we have the PSVG one anyway, so might as well just put the content there. So when you see PSVG goes live, most likely it's either Q, myself, or Donnie streaming on that directly. Everybody else kind of uses their own, so I'm just trying to simplify it. But yeah, I never played the Halo stories. I've played the multiplayer with friends and stuff in the past, in the olden days, but I never really dug into the game. So I was like, well, you know, with the hype around Master Chief Collection hitting Game Pass, now is the time to do it. It's getting the upgrade. Let me jump into it. And I will say, and we talked about it a lot in the Discord, so I don't want to get too much into it. Keep in mind, and Donnie took this the wrong way entirely when I first started talking about it. I am not knocking Halo's importance in the game sphere. I'm not knocking its influence on the industry. My comments were simply the controls in that game have not aged well, and I don't even understand how during that time period it made sense. Because the first thing you brought up...
I'm just going to put it real. I just hope Bill Gates takes a dump on your grave.
Holy shit. Well,
I hope he does it because I hope I outlive Bill Gates because he's that old already. So
Bill Gates is just sitting in his mansion in Seattle, overlooking this little podcast. He's like, "Yes,
did someone say Halo?"
Okay, so can I make a comment on this? I didn't want to say it on the Discord because I was too tired to explain it. So I'm one of those Halo historians. I'm way too geeky about the franchise. I know too much about it. I'm listening to the latest audiobook.
That's good.
That's good. Yeah.
The reason why the Suman is the stick and not the trigger, and I know you mentioned left stick, I get it, but still, was because they wanted like grenades to be like a primary mode of combat instead of just like an afterthought. So I spent like 20 minutes today on my stream just trying to get stick kills, just sticking people with plasmas and walking away from them. And
right.
And that like the left trigger is a much quicker grenade release than hitting B or
for sure.
And this was before. Remember, this was before the bumpers. Like the Halo Xbox One didn't.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Okay, that makes more sense now. That makes more sense.
That's what I was going to tell you. Is because back in the day they had the black button and white button. And so that's why it was a lot to them during the time. Whoever's idea was it to make a controller the size of like a, whatever Duke.
Dude, I bought the new release Duke.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Overpriced, but that's awesome.
It's a fanboy item.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, so you have to think about it back then. Is they were still figuring this out.
Yeah.
Right, it was still uncharted waters for having 2-stick first-person shooter, and Halo was the first one that got it right. But there's degrees to the rightness.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the bumper thing itself explains so much, and had anybody actually said that, the argument probably would have stopped a lot sooner. Be like, oh, okay, I understand that. But Donnie's whole thing was like, we used to use the C buttons on the N64 to move, and I'm like,
oh no, that was me. Isn't this fun? They suck. They're the most useless.
No, they did, but that's all we had. So it made sense. Okay, we have one joystick that moves the camera, the other moves the like that was okay. To me, I'm like, this doesn't make sense. Like, why would you click this? Because even the N64, the trigger was to zoom. So that made sense. But I totally get it now. So I will just say I'm figuring out the controls. It's not easy for somebody who had never played them. Huh?
But did you figure out how to switch?
I'm only on the third or fourth mission, I think. So.
Okay.
Do you figure out how to switch between classic and anniversary view? Because we were like,
yeah, I didn't know. So Donnie said that today too. So well, that's the thing. The game doesn't tell you. Like, you just go into the game. It's like, okay, pick which game you want to play, and it does quick start or mission select. So I'm like, all right, well, quick start. I'm just going to play. And it never at any point said like, hey, if you want to switch this, do this. So I'm like, I just started playing. So I will do that. I can do it in the middle of the game. It's not going to make me start over, right?
No, it's actually that's one of the cool things about it. Like,
okay, great.
That one and Halo 2, they switch seamlessly, like spontaneously between one and the other.
Perfect. So I'm all for it. Like I said, I'm not giving up on the game by any means. I want to play it. I need to play it as a gamer. I need to experience this. I'm not that person who's like writes it off.
You need to get to Reach. Reach is my personal favorite one.
I will. I'm going to play through them. Like I'm completely committed to this. The Warthog controls were the other thing that really confused me. I'm like, that made no sense.
You don't get that right for a while.
Yeah, so it's whatever. I'll avoid it except when I have to use it, and that's fine. So that's all I'm going to say about Halo. I am playing it. Check out the streams. I'm going to continue streaming it all. PlayStation side, I am still working through God of War so I can get to Spider-Man on time. I am about 80% through God of War at this point. I hit like a turning point in the story where I was like, oh, all right, now I'm digging this, and it just kind of like tore through a huge chunk of it over the weekend. I guess I could probably do some mild spoilers at this point because everyone's played it. I think I'm like the last person who hasn't played it. The second I got the Blades of Chaos again, I was like, yes, thank you, Jesus. Or Shu, whoever you want to give credit for that.
Shu also to you,
yeah, so it's fine. But still loving that game. Absolute masterpiece. Once again, Sony with their exclusive just knocks it out of the park with God of War. Fantastic.
Yeah. And that's like a mild spoiler too. Like,
yeah, it's not really.
You're not even getting there, Ken.
No. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't talking anything story mode, but I had blocked out. I put blinders up for everything God of War. Like I saw like the initial E3 trailer, and that's all I followed. I didn't watch anything else as it came out. Like I was like, nope, I'm sold. So I don't need to watch it. So I just assumed I'm gonna have this axe the whole time. And that's the only spoiler I'll say, guys. You don't just have the axe, so it's fine. The next game I was actually waiting to drop on Switch, and then I discovered it was already on Game Pass, and that was Graveyard Keeper. So not a big title game, but that was something everyone was talking about. Like, hey, it needs to come to Switch. It needs to come to Switch. It's like Stardew Valley, but in a graveyard. And I did stream a little bit of it this morning, and I will say, yeah, it's like Stardew Valley in a graveyard. That's exactly what it is. It's a little bit zany, but your character dies essentially, and your afterlife mission, I guess, is to serve in this graveyard, burying bodies, harvesting things, and just unlocking tools. But the mechanics work very much like Stardew Valley. So interesting, but I haven't played enough to really comment on it too much. The one I did pull the trigger on here, though, Nintendo had a Switch sale. Go figure. Last week for Ubisoft. I don't know if it's still going on, but I did pull the trigger and buy South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
Oh, nice.
How you liking it?
I love it. So I will say I'm not a South Park fan. I'm not against South Park, but I haven't watched it in like 15 years at this point. Like I watched it for years when it first came out. But this is amazing. Like I'm absolutely digging it. I'm loving it. The mechanics are good. It improved upon the Stick of Truth. Pretty much in every single way, but kept the whole like I'm playing an episode of the show, like because that's what it looks like, sounds like, feels like. It's all good. So I am loving that. And the last thing to kind of wrap this portion up, we know that the pre-order plug is being pulled on Amazon, or by now it actually has been pulled. Rip. So I scrambled and pre-ordered as much as I could, knowing that even I can just cancel it if I don't want to do it. It's fine. Since I'm game share partners with Donnie on Xbox, I don't really buy anything physical on Xbox. So, and a lot of stuff Donnie and I already pre-ordered, like all the big releases for like the next year and a half. So it's already paid for. So these were all Switch games, but I pulled the trigger, pre-ordered Mario Party, Smash Bros, of course. Metroid Prime 4, even though we don't even have a release year on that yet. It's listed on Amazon for pre-order, so I did it. Fire Emblem, Three Houses, and Yoshi. So I pre-ordered all those games. I intend on buying all those games, but I just had to pull the trigger so I can save that like $13 per game with the Amazon Prime discount. So just stacking them up. I already have too many games that I can't even keep up with as it is, but got to keep adding to it. And at the discount, I figure I'll play them before they drop in retail value, because Nintendo first-party games, those never go on sale. So you're paying $60. You might get away with 50, but yeah, not the price I'm buying for them. So, Mr. Badbit, what have you been playing, sir?
Man, I haven't been playing much. I'll be honest. I could talk about again, just like I talked about on the Trophy Room. I could talk about the duo back-to-back victory royales that I got the other day.
Nice.
But it's easy. They just come to me now. I don't even have to try. They just come to me. And it gets boring when you're on top of the mountain.
Is that because nobody plays on PlayStation because of crossplay?
No, actually, dude. Me and my friend Ducey are just going to town. It's actually oddly enough, I find it easier getting fighting matches on PlayStation than on my Xbox than on my Switch. I've never played on never played on PC. But I mean, it goes to show there's 80 million PlayStations out there and like 5 Xboxes, so I get it. But no, yeah, I've been playing a little bit of that. Played some Overwatch with some Mub people, Aaron Doherty, Tammy, Dude 427.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, we're cleaning house but I get too angry in that game. I really do. I miss my mouse and keyboard. I need it. Played a little bit of Dead by Daylight. After this, I think I might be playing Dead by Daylight with some beautiful Canadians. That is Sean Capri and Fiona McKinnon. So yeah, I'm gonna be scaring my friends tonight. So I'm excited. I'm excited.
Nice. You hear that, Sean? You're beautiful. Somebody thinks you're beautiful, Sean.
Oh, he's handsome.
I feel you on Overwatch, though. I feel like last time I played with like a full team, at some point I play Orisa, so I'm a defender. So, but I get to see look the entire map because I'm kind of like holding a position, Yeah. And I'm like, come on, hold the right flank. They're coming right. Everybody shift fire to the left. I feel like I'm Napoleon out there. Like, we almost got him. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm diva, so I don't really have much skill or say when it comes to things. So, yeah.
I suck at Overwatch, so I can't. The couple times I've played it, I don't get it. I don't know. But I'm about that Fortnite life. Although I've been trying to break the habit as much as possible because sure, Joe. It's like anytime you boot it up, you're like, well, this is just easy to jump in and play. So I'm just going to play it. But it's like I have so many things I need to play. Right. It's like I shouldn't be playing it, but I go back to it. And I've gotten better. I'm not playing it consistently, but I still get my fix a couple times so I can do it. So
Yeah. Let's talk about some news, Kev. I'm pumped.
Yeah, let's get to it. So it's time to listen to all the amazing things that's happened this week so far. It's time to check out the news of the week. So, gentlemen, first up, to continue the Fortnite talk.
Yes.
Now, I know Q's not huge on Fortnite, but he does play it every once in a while. You play it. So, the mysterious giant cube that has plagued us this season continues to do strange things, I guess you could say. So, it first appeared a couple days ago, actually. I think it was around the 25th or so, in Paradise. What the heck's the name of it? The desert area of the map.
Let's just call it Nevada.
Sure, yeah. It appeared there, and it's kind of just been making its way across the map now, which is kind of weird, and it's been changing colors and doing different things. Like right now, if you get near the cube, gravity is kind of gone, so you can do like the super jumps like you used to be able to do with the moon rocks. They'll refill your shields, and you can bounce off of it, and you can get launched off the top of it and then die a horrible death as you fall from like heights I've never seen before, which is amazing because you see people going out there just to take a look at it, and then they just get blasted and die, which is funny. But then like occasionally I'll just walk by there and there's like people just staring at it or knocking the beach balls into it, the golf balls into it that have been added this season, and I let them just stand there for like a minute or two, and then if they don't do something, I just kill them and get some easy kills that way too. So yeah, it's just another example once again. So last season we had these strange artifacts pop in to kind of give away that this season was going to have to do with time travel and like the weird things that are popping up, whether it's the dinosaur bones or the carriages and the warps that we're getting here. So is this a sneak preview of what's to come next season? Is it just Epic still kind of screwing around with us? I mean, I've never experienced a game that, number one, receives such regular updates. I mean, weekly we're getting stuff happening, but almost daily different things can happen in this game. I don't think anything else has ever been like this. So whether you like Fortnite or not, that's not really the topic of conversation. Is the dedication this team has to this game and keeping it alive and keeping it fresh, whether it's adding new modes, adding new things like the whole addition of the basketballs and beach balls and golf balls this season. They're just constantly giving us new stuff to look at, to wonder, to speculate about. I think it's great. I mean, Q, what do you think? Like you said, you're the kind of the casual player here, but like, does this stuff interest you at all? Do you see what they're trying to do here?
I love it, man. I love it because, and this is what's cool when you have a game that people are really into, but it's not really competitive in the sense that there's no like pro or whatchamacallit, like rank component to it. Mm-hmm. Like if this happened in Siege and you have all these weird things happening, I'd be like this is impacting my game too much, like these random variables need to go away, or these changing variables. But I love this stuff on Fortnite because it keeps the game fresh. It keeps the game in the headlines, right? Like you're talking about it, we're talking about it, and it just keeps. I mean, it's just good. Even if you don't wanna, even if you're not that great at it, I'm not great at it. I get like 5 or maybe 5 kills a match, and then I die. But like I feel like the only time I won the game is with a team, squad play. I think that's what it's called, right? But I think it's super cool that all these things, happen. Like for me, one of the coolest things I've seen in video games was Thanos showing up on Fortnite.
Yes.
I love that. That was even getting killed by him was cool.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this is great. This is the coolest thing ever. And I just love this stuff. I don't know what it means, but I just think it's awesome because it's like the game is building a lore just inside the multiplayer.
Yes. Exactly.
And it may not amount to anything, or maybe they will, link it all together like in 10 years,
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because it's just fun and it keeps the game fresh and it keeps people, there's people go and they stare at it. And that it's like you have like an open world game inside of a match. And if you die, you can jump into another match immediately and go look at it again. Like it's almost like a multiverse.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that's basically all I have to say. I mean, you guys know more about it, but I think it's super cool. It makes me like want to go and play, and that's cool. Like I'm a casual Fortnite player, but these kind of things it just made me want to go and check it out and put in a few hours in. It's really cool.
Yeah, for me as like a vet of Fortnite, like I'm already level 100. I got my week 7 challenges done. I got everything done. It's not me bragging. I'm getting to a point, guys. Trust me, audience. Okay, Sean Capri yelling at me. There's a point to it, and that's I've already done everything. The progression's over, so I can sit back, relax for the next 20 some odd days and not play this game. Like, theoretically, there's really no point of me winning a match because there really is no point because the progression's gone. But because this cube is here, it's the reason why I went back in the other day, right? I was going to sit back. I was going to just relax, maybe play some Dead Cells. But then I noticed that, hey, you know what? My Switch isn't plugged in. I got this shiny new, 500 edition controller. Let me try this bad boy out. And yeah, like it got me back in. And to jump on Lobo's point here, it is so awesome. This is what, me and Dat Ninja Dev, we got into it yesterday, right? We were talking about
You were his fight of the day.
I was
the target was off Donnie for a day, and he was going after Joe.
But I made a point that this is actually the reason why I love Epic, and the reason why right now Bungie, like I love Halo. I grew up with Halo. I used to color my stormtroopers green so that I had a Master Chief. I loved Bungie. That was my first developer I ever fell in love with. And track them and follow them like a creepy person. Now I look at Bungie and I look at the game, Destiny, and I have no feelings for it. No fondness, maybe even aggravation, because the content that they release is crap. Like Warmind was crap. What was the other one? I can't even. Osiris.
Curse of Osiris was bad. Yeah, I didn't like that one.
And there's these spread out DLCs of months and months spread apart. There's no real reason after you beat the raid a couple of times to play the raid again. There really isn't, right? I mean, yeah, you got Crucible, but there's only so much until that gimmick fades, and the gimmick's faded. Now, Fortnite isn't the same game for sure, but the one thing that I have to give credit to is how Epic has done their seasons. Right, it's $10 or free or whatever amount you want to pay for it. It's there, right? It's on every single platform. The game is huge and popular, and at the same exact time, every single week, there's something new that's happening. Something just happened in that game. There are thousands of people working on that game, just like there's thousands of people working at Bungie, and it's the reason why I love games like Fortnite. Why I love games like WoW, why I love games like Overwatch is because, yes, there's a subscription fee to WoW, but every 2 months, something crazy just happened. And there's a reason for me to go back into it. Every 2 months, there's a reason for me to get back into Overwatch. A new character dropped, a new map, a new whatever the case may be. When it comes to games like Destiny, I kind of just look at you and go, it took you a year to get back on track. So when it comes to Fortnite, to get this whole rant aside, I love it because every single week we're talking about Fortnite. Like, what's this new cube here? It's all eyes on them. They're playing the media and gamers like a fiddle, and they're doing it in the best way by treating them like they're people, not dumb idiots.
I think you bring up a good point, and for me, that's like I don't think this is the expectation. I don't have an expectation for DLC to be free. And I think that's a chat that was happening on the Discord earlier today. Sorry if you're listening to this podcast like 3 days from now.
Yeah, right.
Come join the conversation.
It's the idea that, come join the Discord. It's the idea that if the community knows you're generating a lot of money through microtransactions and all this other stuff, there's an expectation that at some point you'll deliver something free, right? And you can argue Destiny does deliver free stuff like these events, but the thing is that compared to the standard being set by other AAA games out there, where you have like entire DLCs dropping for almost zero cost, like I'm like 2 new siege operators 4 times a year, free. You know, it's like well, I don't have to pay a single cent on siege. Why would I go drop $40 on this other game? So and I don't want to sound like a brat. I'm not saying I'll never pay for DLC again. But for me, it's like, give me a good reason why I should drop money on you when all these other games that I could be playing are giving me free stuff.
And I think that's a great point, is that we're not expecting, because every time you're like, you know, like my whole thing with Destiny is you either have your microtransactions or your season passes. You don't get both. And for me, you know, like, you know, someone just in the comments like, $1.5 million a day will do that. Well, guess what? Activision, EA, what is it? Ubisoft. They make billions of dollars off of microtransactions. Billions with a B.
That's true. We saw it even with Star Wars, and everyone hated that.
Yeah.
And yet they were spending money on it. So
still spending money on it. So these companies, it's not just Fortnite making bank. Everybody's making bank. And it's not about free content. It's about fair content. So if you feel like, personally, you feel like, hey, these microtransactions, these season passes, I'm getting my money's worth, then go for it, pay that money. But for me, it's about me being treated fairly. I don't feel like I've been treated fairly with Destiny. But when I look at Fortnite and I look at the new skin that just dropped, I look at it, go free. How many hundreds of hours have I put in this game?
Right.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I feel like I'm being treated fairly. Even though their skins are overpriced, I pay it because, hey, it's free. But in actuality, I probably spent, not probably have, hundreds of dollars on this game.
Yeah, that's what they do. These weekly challenges, like you said, the free content they're doing too, it gets people, so you can drop in at any point in a Fortnite match. And you have people out there just to get the victory royale. You have people out there who are just trying to open, 3 chests in this area of the map for that challenge, or they're trying to just kill you with handguns because that's the challenge that they have this week going on. Like, everybody has different agendas when they drop into that map on Fortnite. Not everyone is out there just to get as many kills or just to get the final kill, which really is all that matters. Like, sometimes you can just camp somewhere and not fire off a shot, except for the last one. That's the one that matters, to some people. But everyone has their own agenda, and it's all coming through free, which is what's amazing there too. But and just that the fact they give back to the community by just making it fresh, doing different things all the time. But let's move on from there.
Yeah.
Bring the tone down just a little bit, and I feel we need to address what happened with Madden this past week. So we all know, I'm not going to get into the story. We know that there was a shooting. So EA has officially canceled the 3 remaining Madden Classic qualifier events in wake of the Jacksonville shooting as the company reevaluates its safety protocol around its live events. EA CEO Andrew Wilson made an announcement, a statement released earlier today, actually, as we're recording it on EA's website. While these qualifying events are operated independently by partners, not through EA directly, we work with them to ensure competitive integrity and to gather feedback from players. We've made a decision to cancel our 3 remaining Madden Classic qualifier events while we run a comprehensive review of safety protocols for competitors and for spectators. We will work with our partners and our internal teams to establish a constant level of security at all of our competitive gaming events. So this has brought up different things because obviously gaming events, esports has gotten bigger than it ever has been. There's events going on, across the country and around the world, let's be honest. Even PAX West offered a statement today that it's increasing its security measures at PAX West. So it means PAX South, PAX East, they'll all just follow suit at that point to kind of reaffirm gamers' safety there. So yeah, EA is just fully dedicated. They said they're working with the victims, unfortunately, of the two gamers that lost their lives, Elijah Clayton and Taylor Robinson, the 2 that were killed. Multiple other people were injured in the shooting, obviously, but they're working with their families to try and make sure something like this never happens again, getting their input, what could have been done differently to stop something like this happening here. So in a world where us gamers and press and media for gaming give EA a ton of crap, this is absolutely the right response here. And I applaud them for saying, like, hey, we're not going to take advantage of Madden's release, football season, and continue with this in an effort to make more sales, et cetera, et cetera. They're taking a step back, saying we need to take this serious. There needs to be things done. It's a sad state. So this happened over last weekend. So we had already recorded the PSVG that launched last Monday when this already happened. And I almost paused to make a statement about it, but I said, let's wait and see what happens and make a statement about it on the show. And I will say, you know, as a father of three, one entering high school as of today, this world is not the same as the one I grew up in. When I was a kid, you knew what neighborhoods not to go in. You knew what streets not to walk down. You knew where not to be after sun. Things happen anywhere and everywhere nowadays. And that's a scary thought for everybody. So whenever somebody makes the right move and say, hey, we're going to reevaluate a way to try and make things as safe as possible. Can anything be truly safe? No, probably not in this world. But to take it serious enough to say, hey, we're going to pull the plug on this to make every effort to find a way to make this as safe as possible. I applaud EA for this move here and for the gaming community as a whole. And I hope everybody follows through. Like I said, PAX is doing it. I hope everybody takes a look at this, from people running the esports, the Call of Duty events, the, Injustice fighting events, Street Fighter events, all stuff. They need to all follow suit here and take the initiative and make a statement here about this. So that's kind of all I have to say. And I know it's not really news to comment on, but you guys' thoughts. Joe, why don't you start this time?
I was at Next Level Games. We did a Nintendo Talk live with Bobby, Nintendo Guru, Joe After Work Jams, and it was awesome. It was a great event, right? They had so many other smaller stores and vendors there, and it was just a place where gamers, we're here together. We're celebrating the thing we all love, which is video games. The thing, this thing happening, it's Sunday. My mom's just like, there was a shooting, and she's just like, and she just takes a step back. I think it's the parent mentality, and she's like, that could have been you. Like, be careful now, and that's something to think of, because the first thing I thought of was, why Madden? And then I took a step outside. I'm like, why ever? Why a school? Why a movie theater? Why ever? And a lot of people on the internet, and I'm going to say it. Can I curse? Kev, am I allowed to?
You can do a PG-13 curse.
Okay. These pieces of crap out here that go, is it about gaming? Why are you bringing politics in it? This is not about video games. You're trying to make something political out of blah, blah, blah. I said this on the trophy room, and my favorite superhero is Spider-Man. So the first thing I thought of why do this is a quote from Civil War, and it's Peter going to Tony and saying, when you can do the things I can but you don't, then the bad things happen. That's because of you. Well, we have like a podium, whether you're speaking to 5 people, 10 people, 10,000 people, 10 million people, you have a responsibility, you have a power, you have a voice, you can make a positive change. Whether you want the responsibility or not, you have it. And so that's why it's important to talk about these things. It's important to talk about mental health. It's important to inform people on mental health. It's important to inform people on gun safety. It's important to inform people on gun laws. It's important, if you are a Second Amendment, person out there, don't go, they're here to take my guns. Inform people of how your firearms work and what safety precautions there are in place. And at the same exact time, for the people who don't know, reach out and say, hey, but we understand, but there needs to be more precautions. We're not here to take your guns. And then at the same exact time, inform people on mental health. If you don't feel right, if you're sad, if you feel depressed, reach out to a family member, friend, or a professional. And unfortunately, we become so polarized as a nation that we just immediately go on the attack. I saw a person blaming video games for this event. and it's stupid, it's ignorant, but that person's just there to get the attention so that he can make an argument so that he for somehow, some reason benefits him. Vice versa. There's people on the left and the right. What you need to do is call up your representatives, call up your local representatives, your state representatives, your congressional, your House representatives, your Senate representatives, and let them know that you're going to vote either way. We need mental health reform. We need gun reform, and that's how you make that change. You go, hey, I won't vote for you if you're not doing A, B, and C. That's how you make change. It's not by a Twitter post. It's not by making a video you breaking your gun. It's by going out there and informing and having the conversation. Instead of being on the attack, have a conversation, because at the end of the day, two families lost their family members. A mother lost a son, or mothers lost their sons, fathers lost their sons, a brother lost a brother. Like, people have lost, and let's get off our high horses and let's have that dialogue. So that's what I gotta say.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll get to you in a sec, Q, on this one, because I don't really have too much more to add here. But the biggest thing is like you said, Joe, is regardless of where you stand on gun control, or everybody just saying, no, I get to keep my guns. No, you're trying to take my guns. Nobody is saying either. I think what everybody is saying is, like, we need to have a conversation about what this is. And that's what nobody seems to want to do. They rather just say, they're trying to take my guns, and the other side saying, I am going to take your guns. Like, it needs to be a conversation. That's what I think every politician is too scared to actually try and come up with a resolution. What that is, who knows? But they're not even having the conversation.
It's
that's
also just the bots. Like, so many people actually think, like, the people that are saying that aren't even people. They're probably Russians, if anything. Like, they're just meant to disrupt and to disrupt the conversation for happening. Ignore those people. They don't belong in the conversation, so they don't get to make the change. Talk to the people that want to have that conversation, and then you can start educating yourself, because being educated is your weapon here, right? It is the thing to fight ignorance with, and that's how you make progress. Ignore the bots, people. That's all I gotta say.
Agreed. Q, your thoughts?
I don't have much to add on this topic. I think that I mean, I'm a former soldier, so I feel like I live by the philosophy of be the hardest person to kill, and I hate saying that, because what I'm not saying is go out there expecting to be ambushed. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying is be aware. You gotta be alert, man. Like, I go out to, I love going out to sports. I mean, this weekend I'm going to 2 college football games down in North Carolina where my family is at. And I look around, man, and people are really relaxed. And what I'm not saying is be stressed out, be tense, be freaking out about the next attack. But you gotta be aware, man. We live in a world where there's a lot of communication. I don't tweet out. No, I when I post on Facebook or on Instagram like a picture of my location, it's always like 30 minutes to an hour later. I never post my location, my real location, because I'm more like, no one needs to know that. My family doesn't need to know my actual location right now. Like, that's, they can find out 30 minutes from now. So, I don't, I don't want to comment much on policy. I think what you guys said is dead on, that we got to have a conversation, but then you got to do what you can do to be the hardest person to hurt and kill. And like I'm saying, that doesn't mean shoot first. That's not what I'm saying. Right, what I'm saying is be vigilant and be safe and be wise. You're a dad, Kev. Like, there's things that, you're aware of as a dad that I'm not aware of, when you go out there, when you take your family places and things like that. So, and I think that, unfortunately, we live in a time when you gotta be smart. You gotta be wise. I love when I was in college and I would get these text alerts from campus police at like 2 a.m. in the morning. Someone got mugged on the darkest road in campus. I'm like, why were they walking down that road at 3 a.m.?
Exactly.
And I'm not saying we should live in fear, but you gotta make wise choices. So whether you look at your habits, look at what you do and how you live, and ask yourself, is there a way that I could make myself less vulnerable, right? Or just be more safe? Not out of a sense of fear, but out of a sense of responsibility, right? I'm a married man. I gotta protect my wife. That's that's my duty. So how do I protect my family better? Not out of fear, but out of a responsibility, like Spider-Man. So that's all I gotta say.
That's a great segue, because speaking of Spider-Man,
I like that.
we're going to lighten things up a little bit here. Marvel Spider-Man is coming to PlayStation 4 on September 7th, as we already know. But as they announced yesterday, as we're recording this, not long after, a trio of add-on episodes will be released for the game. Spider-Man's episodic DLC, The City That Never Sleeps, will be released in 3 parts. The first chapter, The Heist, will be released on October 23rd. It will introduce players to Spider-Man love interest, Felicia Hardy, also known as Black Cat for those of you, which brings up an interesting point, because what happens, we know MJ's in the game. Ooh. Anyway, the heist will add new missions and challenges, a new enemy faction, and 3 additional Spidey suits, which is awesome because we love just seeing all these as they're getting unveiled. The heist will be followed by Turf Wars in November and Silver Lining in December. They didn't give any details on those, but just based on the name Silver Lining and the fact we know Silver Sable is supposed to show up in the game, then that kind of makes sense where that's going, I think. The DLC will cost you $24.99 for the season pass. You can purchase the individual chapters for $10 each if you want to, or you can just get the deluxe digital edition of the game for $80 and get the whole Spidey shebang there. So exciting news. I'm glad they're going to continue to support it, because I like it when I'm getting a game, as long as the game is complete and a whole game and the DLC is extra. Like Far Cry is a great example of what has done it well in my mind this year, where I got the complete package and the DLC just adds more to it. It's extending the life of that game. I will say the one thing that concerns me is the game comes out September 7th, and a month and a half later we're getting DLC already. So that mildly concerns me about how long the Spider-Man game actually is. But I think I'm going to enjoy it anyway, either way. So, Q, your thoughts first, because I'm not sure where you stand on Sony's Spider-Man game, but does this interest you or excite you at all about the Spider-Man?
You know, for a split second this week, I was considering getting a PS4, and don't tell that anybody.
I won't. Nobody listens to the show anyway, so it's okay.
You should.
No, but no, I'm excited for this game. I honestly, I'll be honest, I gotta confess, and I know this is your game, Kev, so I gotta confess to you here. When this game was announced at E3, or the first time we saw it, I was like, it's okay.
Sure.
Because my experience of Marvel superhero games is not like
they have not been great.
It's not like the great arcade classics. It's more like the crappy movie tie-ins.
Exactly.
That are just awful. And I think we got a lot of those. There was a time when we got tons of those. They were just bad, you know?
Oh yeah. The Hulk games, the Thor games, they were terrible. So
and this. I mean, there was a Superman game that people really liked, but there were a lot of superhero games that were just not good. And I feel like after that, you had this Lego kind of took over that world, right? And they started making polished games, but to be honest, they don't appeal to me.
They're not for everybody. I agree. Batman was the only other superhero game that was really good. But yeah,
that's why I like Thanos so much, because I'm like, oh, here's a really cool Thanos that I can play as. It's not a kitty Thanos, you know, or a Lego Thanos. I love this game. This game looks awesome, and the more I see of it, the more I get into it. And I'll probably, if any of you guys stream this game, I'll probably tune in.
I 100% will be. We know Bad Bit will be. So yeah, I think Seth is going to play it too. So as long as I can finish God of War and I can scrape together the pennies and search in the couch cushions, I'm getting it day one. So
sounds good.
I'm pumped, man. I'm super excited. Spider-Man, like I said earlier, favorite superhero. He's even dropped by the trophy room on occasions.
He's going to.
Yep, September 12th, he's coming by. He's going to be the guest. I of course, I scheduled a bowel movement for that day, so I'm going to be out of commission. Kyle's going to be hosting that episode. So it's going to be Kyle and Spider-Bit. And let me tell you guys, I'm ready for this game. I am so pumped that Insomniac is making it, because they are known for making really quality games, just absolute quality, fantastic. And Sony, with their track record with all their first-party games, since The Last of Us, for the most part, there's been a few duds here and there, but for the most part, knocking it out of the park. So when I saw Insomniac, when I saw Sony the first time, I was pumped. Now I am media blackout. I'm expecting a great game. Am I expecting God of War levels of amazing? No. I am expecting a great superhero game. I'm expecting Arkham, but with Spider-Man.
Sure.
And all I'm going to do, I've heard that the story is anywhere from 20 to 30 hours long.
That's good.
That's what I expect.
Yeah.
When I hear this DLC announced, I'm of two minds, right? First thing you think of, it's a month afterwards? Yeesh. But Insomniac has said that they put a small team on this, and they are still working on it.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
It isn't something that is being held off from the game. This is a separate story. And at the same exact time, the way I think about it as a business, you want to make sure your game is as relevant as it can be during the holiday season.
Absolutely.
So what better way of constantly being able to promote this game? You said October, November, December is all where all these things.
Yep.
Literally, it starts off the holiday season. Spider-Man kicks it off. It comes right after Red Dead. Then during the Black Friday sales, you can have a bundle, or you can still promote this thing. Go, hey, $40, and there's new stuff out there. And then December, you wrap it all up in a nice little bow. Instead of what happened with like a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, is that I played it as my game of the year 2017, and then that's unpopular because Legend of Zelda, whatever.
Breath of the Wild.
Oh my god, it's amazing! It's gonna blow your mind, and it's good. But you know that DLC comes out, and it's like what? Yeah, like 8 months after the game's released.
Yeah.
In the middle of the holiday season. I don't really care for it at that point because I'm off to playing Watch Dogs or whatever the case may be that year. So for me, I think it was Assassin's Creed, but nonetheless, like I'm out there now in the heat of the holiday season. So for me, this is perfect. I don't mind it whatsoever, and it gets me playing Spider-Man for several more months than I would have normally been. So
that's true. That's true. And all the kids that get it on Christmas get to unwrap it, and it's like, hey, you'll be playing it for months because you'll have the game and all this DLC to come afterwards. So nope, you're right. It's just all about staying in the spotlight for as long as possible. So moving on, we've got our announcements out there for Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus. So we're going to get into those and kind of announce those. I will say after a couple great months from Xbox, this one is not so great, but it's okay because it happens, and not every month can be a blockbuster. But they announced the September's Games with Gold titles include Prison Architect and Live Lock for the Xbox One. Developed by Introversion Software, Prison Architect lets players design, build, and manage a prison. Live Lock from Perfect World Entertainment is a cooperative top-down shooter. Xbox 360 owners will get access to LEGO Star Wars 3 The Clone Wars and Sega Vintage Collection Monster World for free as part of Games with Gold in September. Of course, those will also be available to Xbox One since of that sweet, sweet backwards compatibility. So not a whole lot here that excites me. I mean, the LEGO games are always fun, but like you say, there's so many of them now, and so many Star Wars ones, they really don't feel different. So I think the only thing on here I'm even remotely interested in, I will say, is Prison Architect, because I almost bought it on Switch when they did that Indie Direct last week. So I was like, oh, I think I'm going to do it. I'm like, oh, now I don't need to. I'm getting it for, air quotes, free with Games with Gold. So I'm excited for that. And like I said, you can't have a blockbuster month every single month, so I'm okay with this. And it still gives me at least one thing that I will definitely play. So, Q, your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely a weaker month. I mean, we got was it For Honor last month?
Yep,
I mean,
and Forza Horizon 2. Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of hard to beat last month, to be honest. Those are like two huge AAA games, and games that actually I wanted to play For Honor. I mean, I was so close to buying For Honor in the last like 2 months because it went down
sales. Yeah, the sales have been really low.
Yeah, the sales have been great. I'm like, I don't know, and the only reason why I haven't bought it is because I just don't have the time to play it. So I'm like, no, you know what? It's gonna be cheaper later. I'm not gonna buy it right now. I'm not even gonna play it right now. But then it came out on Gold, and I'm like, great, perfect. You know, Prison Architect is one of those games that keeps ruining my Switch library. There's all these Switch games that I want, that I see them on the Nintendo eShop, and I'm like, oh, this looks like a cool game. And then I realize it's already out on Xbox and PS4, and it's like 50% off. You know?
Yeah.
It's like I can go through 4 or 5 games that I would have bought them on Switch, except for that they were the price difference on the Xbox, like Overcooked. I was gonna buy that on the Switch, and then I realized it was like way cheaper on the Xbox. And I'm like, yeah, I can't say no to saving $15-$20.
Exactly. Yep. No, I agree 100%.
So I mean, like Prison Architect, you know, I was gonna get that on something else, but now I'm gonna get on the Xbox. So why bother? Yeah, it's a slow month, but hopefully, you know, I'll get a few hours worth of Prison Architect. That should be good.
There you go.
Exactly. Some of these games are just like, yeah, it appealed to me on Switch, and I knew it was out on the other consoles too, but it appealed to me on Switch because, like, well, the portability factor. And this is the type of game that would be really probably a better experience portable.
Yeah.
But in the back of my head, I'm like, but is it worth $30?
Right.
Nope. I'm going to download it for free.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
On the flip side, then, so to get into Mr. Babbitt's wheelhouse, PlayStation Plus also announced their games, and well, they kind of stole the spotlight for this month, I think. I don't think really anybody can argue with it. PlayStation 4 is getting Destiny 2, the base game, for free, which a lot of people in the Discord were talking, people were hype at first going, wow, and then some people were like, well, it's always on sale, really cheap now. Either way, it's still really cool to get to experience this for free. And then the other one is God of War 3 Remaster, which I've already played that, not the remaster, but I played it on PS3. I will definitely go back and revisit this later on for sure. PlayStation 3, that are also crossed by a PS4, getting Another World 20th Anniversary Edition, which I remember playing that game back in the day. So I'll probably check that out again. Cube Director's Cut. And then also the Vita games are crossed by a PS4, so you also get Sparkle 2 in Foul Play. So realistically, you're getting 6 PS4 games. There's actually a 7th one if you have PSVR as well. So there's just a whole bunch of things coming this way here. So, Joe, your thoughts on the PlayStation Plus selections?
So you just said it. 6 games, technically 7 because one's PlayStation VR. You go, why so many games, Sony? And it's because of the last topic we talked about. This is going to be a lot of people's first PlayStation. And so they're checking off all the boxes. You go, well, you know what? If I buy Spider-Man, I heard Destiny's pretty good. They got a lot of free stuff there. Oh, let me buy this, month of Plus. I'll be able to play this game, see how I like it. And then with, indie games as well. We have a few there. And then if you're one of the strange people, like I'm looking to sell my PSVR, don't do it, it's a mistake. If you bought the PSVR, you went full bore, you have yourself an entry point. So there's an entry point into everything. And it's all because of Spider-Man. It's going to be pushing units. The PlayStation 4, man, it's going to sell big. I want to see the numbers and the attach rates of PlayStation this month. It's going to be something to gawk after for sure.
For sure. So we shall see what offers up next month, but go get those quote-unquote free games while you can, everybody. Because more games always equals better, and it builds your backlog of shame to the point that you will get a new console and realize you didn't play 30 of the games you own on your old console before you upgrade. So it's all good. It's fine. It's part of being a gamer nowadays. So the last story we'll talk about tonight, because we're running a little bit long here, and I do know the Nintendo Shack is going to cover it, but I don't care. I want to talk about this one because I found it interesting.
Yeah.
Cosmic Star Heroine developer explains its frustrating experience in working with Nintendo. So I have some strong opinions on this one, but let me get into what the story was first. So Robert Boyd, co-owner of Cosmic Star Heroine developer, joined a topic and a Ask Me Anything type thing, explained the press gave the game an okay number of reviews, but it still suffered thanks to, in his own words, a lack of support from Nintendo. We couldn't get Nintendo to mention the game anywhere. Real shame, since even a retweet from Nintendo probably could have given us a big boost in visibility. I get that it was just a port, but after spending months getting stonewalled by Nintendo when trying to get permission to release the game on Switch, and getting it a publisher so they can get it approved, still getting ignored by Nintendo when the game was done and set to release is highly frustrating. It's a good game, and I dare say a good percent of those million-plus people who bought Octopath Traveler would like our game if they knew it existed. We couldn't even get somebody to fix our store page before launch, which never indicated that the game had a pre-order early purchase sale until just recently. Keeping in mind the game's not out yet. Didn't even have our trailer on it, and the page went up about a month before launch. There was plenty of time to do so. So this developer, to me, is almost putting the marketing blame on Nintendo for people not knowing about its game. They also point the finger that we've had 2 indie showcases in a little over a week. One was a UK indie direct, and the other one was the US one that just happened the other day, highlighting a bunch of indie games, and this game was also not seen on there, this Cosmic Star Heroine. To me, it seems almost irresponsible. I get the frustration with indie developers, and we have some friends that are indie developers of the podcast and of Make Us Better that we've talked to, and they have talked about how it's sometimes tough to get approval from Nintendo to release your game on the console. Like, I get that part. That can be frustrating. I totally understand. But to then get the approval and have your game offered on the eShop, but then point the finger at that company to promote the game for you doesn't seem to make sense. You can put out review copies. You can get the game in people's hands to talk about it. You can do your own marketing, of course. You know, every developer has a budget for marketing. That's kind of understood. You can retweet your own things. You can have your other indie developers support you. The people reviewing your game should be retweeting and supporting you throughout the process. I find it to be, quite frankly, completely irresponsible to point the finger at Nintendo. We look at how many indie games in the last year and a half we've had the Switch that have reported like, hey, this game came out on Switch and it sold more copies than PS4 and Xbox combined in a matter of like a week. Like, we've heard so many stories about indie successes on Switch where it's sold way better on Switch than it did on the other consoles. And Nintendo didn't give them any preferential treatment. They didn't retweet their tweets. Nintendo's a big company. And if you see games like Celeste, which got such hype, you know, on Nintendo Switch, but hey, it's available on the other consoles as well. Microsoft wasn't retweeting, hey, get Celeste on the Xbox.
I think that's different though. So I'm not fully gonna go ahead and 100% disagree, but I do disagree to an extent. I think when we look at a game like Celeste, right? That game sold like gangbusters on Nintendo because Nintendo put it out. That was their last thing. Same with Hollow Knight. If you're an indie developer and going, you know what? I don't need to be in a direct, let alone an E3, let alone Nintendo, Reggie Fils-Aimé is going to come out and launch my game, I'd be all over that. I definitely would be. Now, I do have sympathy for a lot of indie developers because a lot of games that have been successful on the platform have been on other platforms before, right? So, you know, games like Blossom Tales, great example, right? On other platforms before, or Bastion or Transistor, those games been on other platforms before. They have a dedicated audience. They have a backing behind them. They're independent developers, but now they are big named independent developers. When it comes to, you know, a game like Donut County that just came out on the PlayStation 4, they have a publisher. Not many indie developers have a publisher.
Right.
And publishers help publish your game. They help promote your game. So if you are, and you know, because he is, you know, I have talked to Jules on several occasions. So if you are, you know, a 2E Games, you don't have a publisher. You have a handful of people working for you. You don't necessarily have a PR team or a PR agency working to push your game. Usually it's just you, and you have to use your wits and your connections to push that game out. The problem with the Nintendo Switch is that the accessibility to find an indie game, the search on the Nintendo Switch itself is god awful. And then when you go into the featured section, the games that they're showing off right now are games like, and I'll pull them up right here, Okami, Minecraft, Luminous, Monster Hunter Generations, Mario plus Rabbids, Captain Toad. It's a lot of Fallout Shelter, Hyrule Warriors. It's a lot of their stuff and third-party publishers that they've partnered with.
Right.
There is no indie spotlight. And to a lot of these indie devs, this is their livelihood. You know, this is not just their livelihood, but their team's livelihoods. So
right, but where is that focus though on any other console? But Sony search engine is still horrible. Microsoft, same thing. They don't do an indie spotlight either. So why? They do the summer.
Yeah, summer spotlight, and they do ID at Xbox.
They've barely covered like their summer spotlight when Castle Crashers came out. That was a big deal. Their new iterations of that. It's trash. I mean, as Bobby would say, it's hot trash in the summer. But they're not promoting things.
And they've even mentioned like their pitfalls when it comes to, you know, at least Microsoft comes out and like, we have this program, the what is it, ID at Xbox,
ID
right?
at Xbox, yeah.
That we help you, you know, sign up with us and we'll help promote and push your games. And it's not just saying like, oh, you're going to be on E3, you're going to be on this direct, you're going to be Shuhei Yoshida is going to, you know, praise you from the suns. It's much more, hey, we're going to put you on the marketplace. Because I remember through Xbox 360 when they gave details, be on the marketplace for a day is $100,000 to have the biggest charm up there, the biggest spotlight. Right. It's a lot of money. It's a shit ton of money. So when you're Nintendo, I think there's a lot of pressure on Nintendo because so many indies are flooding the Switch. because there is a similar problem to PlayStation, and I think we've already seen PlayStation begin to answer it. Not as well. There are people complaining about PlayStation.
Yeah.
They're definitely. We just finally changed the search menu. Indies are complaining because there's more and more of them every day. You do not want to end up being Steam. Look at Steam. It's a pile of shit.
Exactly,
right?
and that's the thing is like if they're getting 20 to 30 indie titles being released on any console, to expect the owner of the console, Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo, to highlight your specific game is complete lunacy. Like they're not gonna do it. And these games that stand out, games that stand out will eventually find its place. Like you never hear, and I hate to even say this because I haven't played this game and I don't know too much about it, but it's like you don't hear the good games complaining about it because they find their audience. Celeste found its audience. Hollow Knight found its audience. Like, yes, it did share a trailer thing, but it's the same thing as ID at Xbox. It's the same thing in Sony's sizzle reel. And it doesn't necessarily equate to guaranteed sales. There's plenty of stuff I saw in the Nintendo Direct from both the UK and the US. There's maybe like 1 or 2 games out of both of those that I'm even remotely interested in. So it doesn't equate to instant, like, hey, I'm going to do this. And I just think for the indie developers to point the finger at these guys is kind of like, okay, I sell my widget on Amazon. If Amazon doesn't promote my widget, Amazon's a bunch of jerks. No, they got too much going on. They can't worry about just
my question to you is then what do?
They have to do exactly what you said, the grassroots marketing. They need to push their thing.
But it doesn't work sometimes. Like, look at Chicken Little, right? Like,
they have to give us free games at PSVG.
No.
And we will talk about them in our podcast.
That's the thing, though. It's you're working with, first off, it's a weird position because Nintendo comes at it at strength. They're letting you on your platform.
Yep. And
that should just be good enough, but it isn't. It isn't because you still need to make a living. So again, there are problems with the PlayStation Store. There are problems with the Xbox Store. You don't, and everybody says it, you don't want to be Steam. So how do you do that? You have to limit the amount of games that come on your platform and just say, hey, you don't make the cut. It's not by offering 30, 20, 40, 50 indie games every single week. You don't flood the marketplace. There are easy things in place Nintendo can do. You see it with the App Store. Right? Oh, here's the editor's pick this week. You get constant games that are on the front page. Editor's pick this week. Why can't we have a Reggie pick this one this week? Miyamoto pick this one this week.
But see, then it's going to turn to the same thing as why did Miyamoto pick my game? That's my biggest complaint. I think it's just
the simple fact of look at the featured section. There are games that have been out literally a year there, still on the front page
because they sell. they're big.
Not necessarily.
Everything you listed is a top-selling game and has been. Like everything you listed was out there.
I feel like for every indie that
I don't think though.
For every indie that kicks butt. Wow, sorry guys.
That's okay.
There's 15 that are bombing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the reality. I think at the end of the day, it's a free market, right? And if your product doesn't click, I have the ultimate. Well, not necessarily in the sense that you get what you signed for. So my question to the developer of Cosmic Star Heroin is, what do you sign for, right? Like if you signed and it said in your terms of agreement that Nintendo was gonna do marketing for you and they were gonna then if they guarantee those things and they didn't do that, then you have all the rights in the world to say, hey, you said you were gonna do this for me and you didn't do it. Yeah. And therefore, Nintendo does carry some blame for the lack of success of the game. But at the end of the day, if all you're signing is you're going on our store with 10,000 other games, but because if you're Nintendo, Xbox, and PS4, you don't want to be the console that is keeping games off your store.
Exactly.
Right? Because then you're like, well, I'm gonna play. Xbox is indie friendly. I'm gonna get it. I don't want to go play PlayStation or Nintendo. You don't want to be the. So you do want to have a sense of quality. You want to make sure the games that are coming in are playable and are they're hitting like a threshold of quality. But you also don't want to discriminate so heavily that you end up being the console that discriminates. So I think it's a really tough. You're between a rock and a hard place if you're a platform, right? Because you don't want to seem like a bully that's keeping people out and keeping them from succeeding, but you also you gotta like focus on what's making you money. So it's a tough place to be. I mean, if I was a Nintendo executive, I would easily see it from their perspective, right? If I was an indie developer, I would easily see it from their perspective.
There's just easy fixes. Like, why can't there be, like, seriously, like, again, we see the featured section. It's just half partnered crap. It's all Nintendo games for the most part, except for some highlighted stuff that they're probably, again, these bigger companies, it could be on the featured page because they're offering more money.
Right.
Simple as that. Right? Why can't there be just one page just to help indie games out a little bit? Like you talked about
well, there's the new releases, and that's updated every week.
But I'm talking about just going one step ahead. And for me, because I think the Switch search is garbage. Like I search a name.
I agree.
I search a name like I was trying to find Cosmic Star and I typed Cosmic because I forgot the other part of the name. Couldn't find it. And so I had to reach. I was like,
yeah, see that's different. I agree. That's a different.
Those are the things that bring in an indie page, not an indie channel. Just integrate it into the marketplace, and then you could have featured indie games and actual indie games.
But then how do you pick that? How do you pick that though? When you have 20 indie games coming out a week, how do you give all of them the spotlight?
You have a team of curators. It's a team of curators. It's simple as that.
But then if you're not picked, if you're not curated, you're going to bitch. No, wow, I need to censor myself.
At least you're giving them.
You're going to complain just like this person is.
But at least you're giving them an even playing field because the playing field isn't even right now. Because Fallout Shelter really printing this? How have you guys downloaded Fallout Shelter?
I have. I played it a lot actually.
God damn.
I'm probably never gonna play it.
It's gross.
Yeah,
That's gross.
It's not.
Have to be ashamed. But like, no one's playing that but Kev, right? But it gets to be put up there because Bethesda plays nice with Nintendo. And the thing is, we're looking at something out of context, and that's my number one thing on the internet. We're looking at it. You know, what is it, like 20 feet, above sea level here, where we get to kind of look at the whole situation, but partially. We don't know what type of contract they signed. We don't know if Nintendo promised them really anything and or much. The fact of the matter is it's really easy to put out a game. It's really easy to put out shit. And when you don't have a curated storefront, you have Steam. And Steam is garbage. Yeah. It's just gross because it's not curated. But you can try to weed out the garbage like the App Store does by having curated portions. You can have all I'm saying is put an indie tab, indie action game, indie puzzle, indie this, indie that. You curate it into sections so that games are easier to search for. So you could be just in the marketplace one day and go, it's not even Nintendo putting it on the front page, it's giving it a subsection.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's it. And I think that's where the complaints are. Is that like you do have to beg people and network with people the hardest just to make it a sense. I do. It's not as black and white. There's always a shade of gray. And of course, if you're Nintendo, you're following where the money is, and it's easier to take. It's easier to take a risk like Dead Cells, like Shovel Knight, like
here's
like all these games that are known quantities. Then take a risk on a cosmic, star heroine.
But Dead Cells wasn't unknown. Nobody knew Dead Cells was going to take off like it did. I don't think the developers knew Dead Cells was going to take off like it did. And that's the biggest thing. Is like you cannot predict which one of these indies are going to take off running and blow up.
Well, there are people that like their jobs out there are to. It's kind of like I always kind of think of it like you're kind of like the baseball scout.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
And so you're trying to find the gems in in the rough. But Dead Cells also came out a year ago, and then landed on the Switch, and then happened to land on a boatload of controversy.
Exactly.
And then got eyes on it. Like Shovel Knight has been on platform after platform after platform, and then during a time where there wasn't 20, 30 indies hitting a month, let alone a week.
Yeah.
So a lot of these indies that we're pointing at, that was in a different climate. I think that's what we're losing touch on.
Right, but is that Nintendo's responsibility to the developers to do it? No, that's where
I think it's a responsibility on them to make more money. Absolutely.
But Nintendo isn't what's in it for Nintendo to put down games? No, they want every game to sell. They don't care the quality of the game, they want sales. So Nintendo's not doing anything to put down the games, but for a developer to sit there and whine saying they didn't retweet my tweet, They're not going to do that. They don't have time to do that.
Well,
they have
I
bigger
agree.
issues to worry about.
I think the problem is that this was an AMA. It's kind of like our disagreement with Ninja, right? It was an AMA. It was off the cuff. It's not something that is manufactured that you got to really think about. It was off the cuff. Probably said some things he didn't want to say
Sure.
But what all we're saying, and we're even agreeing to it, is just make an indie section. Give it subsection so it's easy to search. It helps Nintendo because they make more money, and it helps the indies because they make more money. It's not so much why isn't Nintendo showing me off at E3? It's, dude, the search sucks. That's what when I hear indie developers complain, it's search sucks. This blows. I hear it more times than I like to. That's all I'm saying.
I think just I don't mean to drag this out any longer, and I totally dig the idea of like helping indies kind of succeed.
Yeah.
I also say it as a consumer that likes things marketed to me. I don't want to go into the store and see crap that I don't care about. And that makes me sound like a total jerk, and I get it. I understand that. But to be honest, at the end of the day, what I like about I don't know, Microsoft, Xbox, Nintendo doing whatever they feel is best for me as a consumer and for them as a company is that they are putting out images, ads, banners, content that they feel fits my style better. I don't know how much, meta data goes into that, whether they're watching what I like. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't want to go see crappy indie games that I don't want to play, and that's another side is they want me to have a pleasurable experience in the market in their store. And that means that what they know that I want to see Halo, Siege, Gears, and shooter stuff. They know that's what I want to see, so they're gonna put that stuff for me up there, So that for me that's the counter argument. Not to drag this out, but it's I get it. It's tough to balance helping indies rise, but also at the end of the day, you gotta show what sells, right? Colgate and Crest and whatever the best selling toothpaste are always gonna be at eye level, right? Because they are the ones that are that sell,
But that's the thing about indies. It's kind of like when you go to the PlayStation store, it's sectioned off, right? Like you see PlayStation VR games. Right. And then you see what type of experience you want from your VR game. That's all really indies are saying. Yeah. That's what I'm hearing for the most part. Is give us a good search. Because all it takes is one Joe after work to walk in going, what's this random game? I'm going to stream it, fall in love with it. And then those people who are watching them fall in love with it. They buy it. They stream it. They show it to their friends. They tell people to buy it. And that's how games blow up. It's not just by magical tweet, but it's by visibility. Dead Cells got popular because of the hype that was around it because of a controversy. Right. Games that are able to be streamable, that helps. So that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, it just takes one person looking at something to change everything.
Okay. Everyone to their corners.
Okay.
I'm back. I think we can all agree that it's not just a Nintendo problem, and everyone should be doing something like this, do an indie page, do something like that. I agree with that philosophy there. So we'll end it on that because we've gone way too long. So let's wrap the show up. Before we go, though, we'd like to remind everyone where they can find us, connect with us, and find out what we're up to. So, Q, why don't you go first, sir?
What am I doing?
Pimp your stuff, sir. Pimp your
you're plugging your stuff.
I have nothing to plug in, man. Like,
yes, you do. You stream with the boss man.
I'm off the Twitter, man. I don't look at that junk anymore. I today on the Discord, I was getting someone posted something about Remedy games, and I was like, well, keep me updated because I'm not gonna go look at that.
That's right.
Tag me when they post something because I'm not gonna track it. I'm all about social gaming. If you're on Xbox, add me, LOBORICAN. I am very happy to jump on a party and chat with you. If you just want to chat, even if we're not playing the same game, let's just hang out, man. I'm all about hanging out. Or if you want to play the games that I play, feel free to shoot me an invite. I'm very, very open to making friends. I have a lot of friendships that I've made on Xbox, and That's why I have like 150 friends on Xbox.
And you're streaming what, Gears of War with Donnie? Is that what you guys are playing?
Yeah, man. Well, when he recovers from dying, yeah.
I don't think you can recover from that. I think it's
hey, Bobby did it, didn't he? Bobby died and came back. So,
well, I mean, that was through the power of witchcraft via Whistle podcast, but
yeah, Donnie and I are technically streaming on Tuesday nights like Gears 4. Just kind of, I think the idea is to do more Gears, but then today he was like, "Oh, I want to stream Halo also." I'm like, well, which one is it? Which one do you want?
Donnie has gaming ADD. You got to get with that.
But yeah, I'm trying to Steam primarily through PSVG. I have my own account, but I mostly watch through it. I don't stream through it. So yeah, PSVG. Just come watch, come chat. And I always try to chat on Twitch too. So if you ever see me streaming, feel free to curse me out or something.
There you go. So the Mr. Baddest of Bits, where can people find you and what you're up to, good sir?
Well, you can find me at Bad Bit Games on YouTube. You can follow me on PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can follow me at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. You can watch the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, every single Wednesday on iTunes, Google Play, wherever there's an RSS feed, SoundCloud, even YouTube. And right now we're doing a Spider-Man giveaway. If you want to win a chance at getting that Spider-Man, please follow the PS Trophy Room on Twitter, like, share, retweet, or write and rate us on iTunes. Send us a picture of that. Or then on top of that, the latest episode of the Trophy Room, put it down in the comment section. I have a secret question in the middle of the show. Make sure you're watching. You type down your answer, and wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You're entered to enroll that way. Like, share, subscribe on YouTube as well. And yeah, that's all I got.
Insane. Yeah, we have a lot of giveaways going on. So you're giving away Spider-Man. Coach Mo and Dev are trying to figure out how to give it away, but they have a copy of Destiny 2 with all of the DLC to give away. Right. They're giving away a SNES Classic. And then Bored with Video Games is also doing a giveaway. So listen to their not most recent episode, the episode before that, which I'm sure they plugged it again, though. They listed their top 10 games for this holiday season, and they're trying to predict the Metacritic scores. The listener with the closest to the accurate ones will get to pick one game from that list of 10, and they will give it to you for free, just for the price of one email to them over on that. So check that out. PSVG OT is giving away those two, and then Board with VG is giving away a game, and then, of course, as you said, Spider-Man giveaway over there on the Trophy Room. So hit up all things PSVG over at the website, psvg.blog. Click on the Discord link at the top, and you can connect with all of us crazy individuals who spend our entire day when we probably should be working and becoming, contributing citizens to the United States of America, but instead we're arguing about Destiny and Halo and zooming by clicking a thumbstick
and no
stuff like that.
And all that.
Yeah, it's all good. Check out, as Q said, all the streams we do over at twitch.tv/PSVG. And then last but certainly not least, I thank you again to all of our Patreon supporters. Head over to patreon.com/makeusbetter. Lend us even just $1 helps continue our mission for podcast excellence and execution and perfection that we all aim to please for. And we have, as a community, some new things to announce coming very, very soon, including some new tiers and new rewards that you will not want to miss. I promise you on that. So patreon.com/makeusbetter. But more importantly, everybody, on top of all the stuff we just talked about, all the giveaways, all the Patreons, all the websites, we ask as always that you never stop gaming.